with Canucks club president Trevor Linden down in the bowels of Rogers Arena. Trevor, congratulations on today's announcement. You said Jim Benning was your #1 target. How come?
Well, actually, he became my #1 target when the process started. I actually compiled a list that I felt that were candidates that could meet the criteria I had. I developed a criteria list and a real profile for who that person would be, and set up several interviews. And until you really sit down and break down the game and break down your vision and your values, it's hard to really identify who's your #1. But after going through the process, certainly Jim became the guy who really fit and checked all the boxes that I had.
Will you have final say in all his moves, Trevor?
Donnie, I believe in a collaborative effort. I think that, anytime you're dealing with decisions and big decisions, you rely on the people that are placed and you put around you. That's the importance of hiring good people, and we will work together and make the best decisions for this organization.
You talked about the values that you share with Jim. What are they?
I think it's just the characteristics that we believe that are important to the type of prospects we draft, from the characteristics that make successful organizations, building the team, the individuals that are part of that team, and what makes that successful. When we talked about coaching, we agreed on the type of person that we may want, and the style of play that's important to us. So I think the vision was kind of woven through many areas of hockey operations. So, and that was clear from the first interview.
Trevor, I think what stood out, and I'm going to change the subject here for just a second, what stood out the other day about your town hall meeting at Coquitlam was your emphatic defense of Ron DeLorme and the entire scouting staff. And you've been in this city for a long time. The Canucks scouting staff has taken all sorts of criticism. Maybe you could just elaborate on that, on the kind of job you feel the scouting staff has done and what may change with Jim Benning around.
Well, I think that it's easy for people to put a target on certain people, and I'm going to defend good people, and people that have hardworking, good people. Having said that, Jim comes from that, is cut from that cloth. He spent 21 years with his boots in arenas, and he's been there. He understands what these guys go through. He's ran scouting staffs. He's given direction and communicated to the various groups he's put together, whether it be Buffalo or Boston. And I think it's important to note that that's Jim's background. That's his expertise and skill. So we're going to obviously evaluate what we have, and Jim needs to work through that process. And obviously with the draft at the end of June, we're going to work extremely hard in identifying the players that would be a fit for us in June. And through that process, I'm sure Jim will have recommendations to make our organization strong in that department. So that's an ongoing situation.
Stan Smill's in your front office. He's from Alberta. Jim Benning's from Alberta. You're from Alberta. Does your head coach have to be from Alberta, Trevor?
You figured that out, eh, Donnie? Jeez, it's an Alberta connection. I mean, that's
past me.
See, you are so on top of it, Donnie. But it's interesting how it works out, and it's been interesting as well is that I hadn't spoken to Jim for 25 years. Literally, I think we parted ways our playing days in 1990, and hadn't spoken since, really, until we had our first interview in Chicago. And so it was less of a relationship than maybe people would think, and more built around just the quality and content and the vision and values that Jim and I shared.
Trevor Linden hires the 11th general manager in Vancouver Canucks club history. That man is Jim Benning. Trevor Linden, we thank you very much down at Rogers Arena.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.